From a group of workers in Thailand who watched their crane fall into the sea, to a shipping disaster in Busan, South Korea that caused millions of dollars in damage, and a truck driver in Richmond, Texas who got himself stuck on the tracks, here are the most expensive worker mistakes caught on camera. Fishing is a major part of Thailand's economy. In the southern province of Pattani, 80,000 people work in the industry. It's the only province that prohibits trawlers and fishing nets near the shoreline. That means fishing boats have to do things the old-school way. On January 28th of 2022, one of those boats needed some repairs. 2 cranes arrived to yank the vessel out of the water and onto the dock. One was supposed to support the bow, while the other held the stern. Then, one of the cables snapped. The boat fell, dragging the crane down with it. Our crane operator barely jumped out of the cab in time. While his injuries weren't life-threatening, he did land on his leg awkwardly and needed medical attention. Thankfully, his employer covered his hospital bill. He was in good spirits a few days later, giving people a thumbs up and retelling his scary story. A spokesperson for the company called it a bad luck, good luck situation. Losing a crane like that is tough, but at least their driver made it out okay. They say new cars lose their value as soon as you drive them off the lot. We wonder if the same is true for industrial machines. While working on a job site, a crew was tasked with hauling a brand new excavator out of the dig pit. They rigged it with cables attached to a much bigger machine. Then, only inches away from the top, catastrophe struck.
Yours.
Someone had some explaining to do. The driver in the larger machine was probably towing a fine line between moving too slow and too fast. Hopefully, the owner had good insurance. The port of Busan is the largest seaport in South Korea. Over the past 150 years, it's grown from being a small trading port between China, Korea, and Japan to one of the most essential stops in the global supply chain. So, when a major accident occurs, it can have expensive consequences. On April 6th of 2020, a container ship called the Milano Bridge tried to berth in the port, but there was something wrong with one of its propellers. It was barely touching the water's surface, which limited the ship's maneuverability. It came in way too hot and wound up crashing into the port. What happened next led to expensive delays over the next few months.
Grabing lakas. Sana walang naipit.
This entire accident came down to weight. The Milano Bridge wasn't carrying enough ballast water, which caused the propeller to rise above the surface. The ship wasn't carrying any cargo either, which otherwise would have made it heavier. She had just undergone repairs in China and was heading to Busan to load up. Funny enough, the Milano Bridge collided with another vessel a few months before. That's why it was in China getting repaired. Whoever's in charge of this ship should probably go back to boating school. In April of 2021, a Norfolk Southern train obliterated a tractor-trailer in Springdale, Pennsylvania. The truck apparently got stuck on the tracks while carrying a load of bricks and building supplies. However, they could not determine if the truck was impatient or if the warning lights never came on. A month later, another 18-wheeler, this time carrying bottled water, got stuck on the tracks in Richmond, Texas. The truck and water combined weighed about 44,000 pounds. But that still wasn't enough to stop a speeding train. It took workers several hours to clear the scene after the train split the truck in half. Thankfully, the truck driver was long gone and nobody on the train got hurt in the crash. The Malaysian city of Georgetown is the 8th largest in the country. It's home to about 160,000 people who, at one point in their lives, walked across the iconic Weld Key Bridge. The 45-year-old structure was a pedestrian bridge over the highway that people used to access the ferry. Unfortunately, it did not survive 2020. On February 5th, a truck drove down Weld Key Road and tried to pass under the bridge. The driver was carrying a crane on the bed and grossly underestimated the height. While his cab cleared the bridge, the crane wasn't so lucky. Keep your eye on the upcoming traffic. Everything seems normal as the truck approaches. It looks like it's about to clear the bridge, but then the very last portion of the crane gets caught. The truck comes to a screeching halt and the bridge almost collapses. Thankfully, nobody was walking across when the driver tried to pass. The bridge was beyond repair. If they wanted to fix it, they would have to shut down Weld Key Road, and it was simply too busy. Instead, the city demolished the whole thing over the next 24 hours. They tallied the cost and served the trucking company with the final bill. The 16-foot-high bridge was built back in 1975. It was the first of its kind in Penang and made getting on and off the ferry easier and safer. Without it, people had to use a regular crosswalk, which caused more congestion on the busy main road. On January 13th of 2012, the Italian cruise ship Costa Concordia was well into what was supposed to be a joyous adventure. During a planned 7-day cruise, the captain decided to take the ship a bit off course to sail closer to the island of Giglio. This move turned out to be a terrible mistake. Not long after, the ship hit an underwater rock, causing it to capsize and partially sink right off the coast of the island. There was an intensive 6-hour rescue that brought nearly everyone ashore, but sadly, 33 people were unable to be rescued. How does such a catastrophic failure happen despite all the technology that ships have now? Well, an investigation blamed the crew, particularly the captain, Francesco Schettino, for steering off course. He also left the ship at the first sign of danger, abandoning everyone else on board. After a trial, he was found guilty of manslaughter and sentenced to 16 years behind bars. Costa Cruises themselves, however, did not face any criminal charges. As you might have guessed, the ship was declared a total loss by the cruise line's insurance company. The subsequent salvaging was one of the biggest maritime salvage operations in history. The Costa Concordia was refloated by welding flotation tanks to its sides. Then it was towed 200 miles back to its home port of Genoa so it could be scrapped. The craziest part is that this entire process took 5 years to complete. If you enjoyed this video and want to see another just like it, then be sure to click the link on screen now. With that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.